Thank you for joining me for my playthrough of The Big Book of Madness by Aiello Games. The game is all set up and ready to go. If you didn't watch the setup video, that's fine. You didn't miss anything. I didn't really go over any of the rules. Just got everything ready to go. Tried to get all of it in frame. Some of the things I may have to zoom in on so you can see better. But for the most part, this is the entire setup for a two-player game. Now I'm going to go over the turns as we start here. And on the back of each of the player cards is a turn guide that takes you through each phase of a turn. Now, the first thing you're going to do on your turn, and our first player is the female green wizard, green student that's on this side of the board, is the concentration phase where you refresh your spells. Whenever you cast one of your spells, say I want to cast this combustion spell here, in my hand it requires one fire element. I would discard one of my fire elements, turn that card sideways to show that it has been cast, and then it cannot be used again during this turn. That's why in the concentration phase, if I came from another turn, then my spell would refresh and I would be able to use it again this turn. Now at the beginning of the game, no spells are used, so there's nothing to refresh. Then we go into the monster phase. Advance the invocation marker, which is this little book right here. Now at the beginning of the game, the grimoire is closed, and you advance it by going to the first space, and now we will open it, which means we will flip the first page open, and we see our monster here. Now when the monster appears, it has a effect that you must apply when it appears. Destroy as many madness from the madness stack as the number of players. So we have this stack of madness cards here. And this is a two-player game. So for a two-player game, we have, I believe, 20 if I remember right. Yes, 20. If this stack runs out of madness cards, we lose the game. So we have to manage it by not only not getting too many madness for our players, but also by not letting this run out. And now this, just because of his initial effect, there's two players, so two of these are destroyed. They're not discarded, they're destroyed, which means they are removed from the game. Now there are ways for cards that are destroyed to come back into the game. So now we're down to 18. Then we see these three element symbols, and those are the curses: fire, air, and earth. So we're going to draw from each of those decks that are just out of frame up here. So we'll draw our fire, and it's going to go right here. An air, and an earth. Now, when the invocation marker moves to those spots, this curse gets applied. For instance, when the invocation marker moves here, each player receives one madness in their discard pile. Now the way to keep that from happening would be to spend the number of elements during your action phase to destroy that curse. As you can see, we advanced the marker from, it started at 0 to 1. We applied the curse effects, if we had any, and that would be if it was here, we would apply the curse effect that was on the card, or wherever it is. And then we get to the player action phase. Now the players can do any combination of these actions as many times as they want, as long as they have the elements to spend on it. They can learn a spell, which is these up here from the library. They each cost 2 to purchase. Now the players start with 4 spells. You can have up to 5. If you want to purchase beyond 5, you cannot, except for certain players can have, or certain things will allow you to go beyond 5. But if you purchase one, you can have 5. If you purchase another one, you have to select one of the spells that you already have to destroy to make a spot for that new one coming in. You can cast a spell. You discard the required elements. And you can do it times 1, 2, or 3. Now what that means is, say with the growth spell here, it costs 1 earth to cast it, and you draw 1 card. Now the number that is in that white circle means if I double the cost and spend 2, then this doubles, so I would get 2 cards, triple it, 3 cards. That's as high as you can go, up to 3 times the cost. Not only can you cast spell as its face value, but you can spend more elements to increase the effectiveness of it, or to increase the effect of it. Next, you could also gain an element card, and what that is these element cards that are down here. If you wanted to gain an element card of 2, I would have to spend 2. So I would discard 2 of my green 1s. That would give me the ability to pick up this 2 and put it in my discard pile. I won't get it right away, but it'll be in my deck later. It will get recycled. Same thing, if you want to purchase a 3, you'd have to spend 3 of an element in order to do that. You could destroy a curse, which I already said you would spend the number that's on the card. Or you can heal yourself. If you have a madness card in your hand, you can spend 2 of any element. They have to be the same, 2 of the same element, and then you can heal yourself by returning this from your hand to the madness pile there. Also, you'll hear me talk about the support area. If you look closely on the character cards, you'll see that there's these blue rectangles on him, and then there are green rectangles on her. Those 3 spots allow for support cards to be placed. I mean, if you cast your ice spell, you can place 1 card from your hand in support. If I were to spend 1 of my ice, turn it sideways, then I could take 1 of the cards that's in my hand and place it in support, which would be in one of those spots on the player card. Now what's good about the support cards is they can be used by anybody. So I could place that element 2 of water on my support, and then when it's her turn, she can use it as long as it's in the support pool. Now a player can use the support cards that are in their own support spots, but the support pool can also be used by any player. It's a handy way to manage getting rid of curses too, because you don't always have 4 of something in your hand, but if somebody places something in support, then later on they can use it to get rid of it. Same with later in the game when you get into these multi-element curse cards. And also you can even place madness cards in your support slots too to get them out of your hand, or some effects allow you to get rid of madness cards that are in your support slots. And again, that all comes about depending on what spells and what abilities are available. Finally, we have the recuperation phase, which allows you to draw or discard to get your hand to 6. If you have 6 madness cards in your hand, that player is eliminated from the game, and then the play would move to the next player. You always have to have 6 cards in your hand when you get to that recuperation phase. If you have more than 6, you have to discard down to 6. If you have less than 6, you draw up to 6. If you go to draw a card from your deck and you don't have any cards there, you will draw a madness card, add it to your deck, shuffle it, or add it to your discard pile, shuffle it, and then you can continue drawing from your newly shuffled deck. We've already completed the monster phase. The invocation marker was moved, the grimoire was opened, the arrival effect was applied, the 3 curses were laid out, which brings us to the action phase for our first player. She has 3 green, or 3 earth, 2 air, 1 water, 1 fire available. Let me think about what I want to do. First thing I think I'm going to do is spend my 1 water element to cast ice, which allows me to place 1 card from my hand into my support. And I'm going to move my 2 earth into a support slot. And the reason I'm doing that is we have this curse card with 4 earth on it. This player has 2 earth available. So with his 2 and with her 2 in the support, he'll be able to spend the 4 to remove that curse before we get to it. Now, I don't want to destroy a card from her hand. I could spend 1 to draw another card. Or I could use telepathy to allow one other player to take an action. Do I want him to take an action before it's actually his turn? Or I have enough air to buy aspiration, which, let's see what aspiration does. Receive 1 card in your hand from another player's hand or from the support pool. It allows you to place more cards in your hand, and that's also only costs 1 to cast, and you can do it multiple times. Like I said, if you spend 2, you can receive 2 cards, 3 cards, and again the limit is 3. You can only do triple the cost of the card. Let me think about what action I want to take. I don't think I'm going to buy that right now. I'm going to hold on to my 2 air cards because I should probably move an air card to his support because we do have a curse here that requires 4 air and she already has 2. I think I'll do that. I think I'll hold on to those. Her special ability says during your turn you can exchange 1 or 2 cards in your hand with the same number of cards in support. The only card in support is the 2 earth, which I want to leave there for him to play on his turn. Some of the other actions I can do would be to gain an element card, and I don't want to spend those 2 air right now. I can't destroy a curse and I don't have any madness that I need to heal. That looks like that will be it for her turn. That'll be the end of her turn. I'll do the recuperation phase, which I have to draw up to 6. She currently has 4 in her hand, which means I draw 2 more. And we got another air and a water available to us. And we will take the first player token, not first player, but the active player, and place it over here for him to go. Our blue student now is going to get his turn. First we'd refresh his spells, which none have been used yet. we will advance the invocation marker, which means we will apply the curse. Each player receives 1 madness to their discard pile. So into the discard pile for each player is 1 madness card. Now we get to do his action phase. And the first thing I definitely want to do is spend his 2 green, or his 2 earth, with the 2 from the support to equal 4. Now, even though he's the one using it, the player who had the card in their support, it will go to their discard pile, and the 2 that he used will go to his discard pile. And that means this curse is now destroyed. Now when you destroy a curse, you get to gain a value 2 element of your choice. Which of these elements do I want to choose? This character began with a water that was double strength. I'm going to take another one to plan ahead, so I'll choose to take the water, put that in my discard pile, and what I'm doing is these symbols here show me what the curses are going to be for the next monster. So I'm going to prepare and have that water ready, and also since he already had one, and I'm going to purchase this spell, which is what I'm going to do for my next action. I think I will do that. I'll spend the 2 water to get torrential rain. And what that does is I can spend 1, and then 1 player shuffles their discard pile and support into their deck. That'll be his 5th spell that he'll be able to use. That can come in really handy to keep them from having to draw madness cards, or not draw, but add madness cards to their discard pile because they don't have a discard or a draw pile available. Also, I'm going to spend 1 water to cast ice, to place 1 card from my hand into support, because she has 3 air already. I want to have a 4th one available to her so we can take care of this curse also. Now the fire may be a little more difficult to take care of because right now we only have 1 showing. And I could have her take care of that right now before the grimoire moves to the next round. And I think I will do that. I will spend this air to cast telepathy, which says that 1 other player takes 1 action, and I will have her action be destroying a curse. She'll spend the 3 that she has to her discard pile, and the 1 that he placed in support to equal 4, and eliminate another curse that was going to hurt us as soon as that moved. She eliminated the curse, which means she gets to select a 2 strength element. I'll choose to take the 2 earth to plan ahead for this earth curse that I know is coming. She already has 1 double and a single available. That'll eliminate all of his elements, which means there's no more actions that he can take, except for his special ability that says during his turn he can treat any single value air card as any element of his choice. He doesn't have any available to him right now, so that's not to worry about. That'll take us into the recuperation phase of his turn. And he has 6 left. So he will draw all 6 to fill his hand back up. We have 3 fire and 1 each of the other elements available to us on his next turn. We'll move the active player token over to our green student, and we'll do the concentration phase, which will allow her to refresh her spells. Now we advance the invocation marker during the monster phase. Luckily we got rid of both of those curses that were there, so we don't have to worry about any effects that need to be applied. I see that our blue wizard has 3 fire available to him, and we need 4 to get rid of this curse. That way this bad effect doesn't take place, where each player places 1 madness in their discard pile. For her first action, I will have her play 1 ice, and that'll allow her to place 1 card from her hand into support. Ice got used. I think she doesn't have, but she only has 4 cards in her deck, which is now going to cause her, when she has to recuperate, that's going to cause her to get another madness, but we can't worry about that right now. I don't have anything I want to do with that green. I would draw 1 card. Is that something I want to do? I don't think so. I'll just hold on to it. I have no more actions for her. I'll go into the recuperation phase, where I need to draw up to 6, and I only have 4 here. It's going to give me 2 more fire, 1 water, 1 air. And now, since I need to draw 1 more to get to 6 and I am out, I have to take a madness card, add it to my discard. And now draw. Now I have 2 air. And that's all I'm going to do for her turn. Move the active player over. Refresh his spells during the concentration phase. Move the invocation marker. There's no curse here to add effects, which means we can go into his actions. First action I want to take is to get rid of this final curse. Spend 3 of his and 1 from the support pool to discard this curse. He destroyed that curse, which allows me to select 1, and I'm going to take a double fire to help with what's coming up. He started with a double water, so now we have the double fire to help with the curses we'll have to deal with in the next round. Also, I will have him spend 1 water to use his torrential rain, which allows 1 player to shuffle their discard pile and their support, which he has none, back into their deck. And this will save me from having 0 in my deck when I go to recuperate and get back up to 6 cards. That way I don't have to take another madness because of that. We used our torrential rain, so I'll turn that sideways. All I have is 1 green earth and 1 white air. I never revealed the next spell for the water, which is Ice Touch. Spend 2. One other player draws 1 card, then places 1 card from their hand in support. Well, that could be handy. So you get to draw a card, and then you get to take one and put it in support. That could be real effective in trying to control these curses. I don't have any more actions that I want to take with him right now. That'll end his turn. We'll go into the concentration phase where she can refresh her spell. Monster phase. Move the invocation marker forward. There's no curse there to deal with. We can go right into her action phase. I don't have anything on the board that I need to deal with. I have no cards I want to destroy. I really don't want to draw more cards. Maybe I want to put a card into support in anticipation of what's coming up. Or I don't think I have a action I want him to do. I have 2 red and 2 white. Do I want to purchase a spell up here? Aspiration. Receive 1 card in your hand from another player's hand or from the support pool. Warm-blooded, discard 1 madness. Then for each madness you discard, draw 2. We don't have white coming up. We don't have air as the next curse. So I will spend 2 air to get the aspiration spell. And we'll see what our next spell is. It's the Tornado. Exchange 1 card with another player. And that would cost 2 to cast. Do I have any more actions I want to take with her before this moves and turns to the next page? I think I'll prepare for what's coming up later. Spend the 2 fire in order to gain a double fire, and that goes into my discard. And I'll be ready for the next round. I believe that's all I'm going to do for her turn. And go into the recuperation phase. And she needs to draw 4. And we ended up with our double green to add on, 2 more air, and 1 madness card. That'll end all of our actions for her for this round. We'll move the active player token over, which will signal the beginning of our next round. And this will move over and we'll see the next page in our grimoire. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you for the next round.